As mentioned, I'm Laura. I'm an Associate Director at HSE Recruitment and Executive Network Group. Hopefully a few of you do know me, and I've spoken to a few of you before, but my role is obviously day-to-day I recruit health and safety people. But because of the Associate Director position, I get to do loads of this fun stuff as well, like coming along and talking to you and sharing loads of our knowledge that we've built up over the years. You know, I've been doing this sort of 12 years now. For my sins. So today we wanted to chat to you about strengthening your personal brand. So personal brand is one of my absolute favorite subjects. I think it's something that is really, really important in a lot of sectors, but massively so in health and safety. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a little bit about sort of why it's important, you know, what it can do for you, and then what we're going to try and do as well is give you some tips and some tricks, you know, some proper action points that you can take away so that you can start working on your personal brand and start sort of, you know, driving things forward from there. So that's the plan today. As mentioned, there's loads of opportunity for you to ask questions. So please do get involved, send me some questions through the chat, and we've got some time at the end where we'll go through those. So first things first, why is personal branding important? You know, why am I even here talking to you about this today? So personal branding, for those that don't know, is basically just about how you brand yourself, how you are perceived in the marketplace. And this can be in person, this can be via social media, this can be within your company, you know, within your safety team, within the wider company, or in the wider world, you know, but it's basically when people think of you, what do they think of, what sort of represents you? And there's many, many reasons why it's really, really important to kind of get your brand right in health and safety. The first of all being for attracting talent. So I don't know how many of you are, you know, decision makers and are people that are looking to recruit within your team or have done in the past, but at the moment, it's crazy competitive in the health and safety world. It's good news, you know, it's really, really good news. There's loads going on, but it is just crazy, crazy competitive. I think the reason for that is, you know, we have this pandemic that shut a lot of things down for a number of years, but the health and safety industry, you know, kept going kind of throughout that. And what a lot of our clients and what a lot of companies figured out is that health and safety was really, really intrinsic to what they did. You know, obviously we've been trying to tell them that for a very, very long time, but this was a proper sort of slap in the face, I guess, of why you really should be paying attention to health and safety, and including well-being and stuff like that in there. So because of this, what's happened is a lot of safety people have been treated quite well. You know, they've been looked after through the pandemic. They've maybe been given pay rises or promotions. Companies are trying to strengthen their safety teams. They're trying to add more people in, both at operational level and at strategic level. And, you know, and people are kind of looking around a lot. So there's loads and loads going on in the market. When it comes to actually attracting people into your company, at the moment, it's very, very hard to do. By advert alone. The reason being for that is like I said, you know, a lot of people were treated very well through the pandemic. You know, their companies completely understood finally what they were trying to say. They understood the importance of safety and well-being. They've looked after them. They've maybe given them pay rises. They've maybe given them promotions. People are quite comfortable. So there's a lot less people actively looking and applying for job adverts and things like that. The other reason it's quite hard to attract people at the minute, again, by advert alone, is there's a massive cost of living crisis. I'm sure we've all felt it. And what that means is people are less likely to take that jump. You know, they're very much about better the devil they know at the minute. And the likelihood is, if, you know, you're a health and safety advisor, you're probably not going to move for another health and safety advisor role that's paying the same money or maybe $1 or $2 more because it's not worth the risk for you at the moment. So a lot of our clients are finding it very, very tough to attract people. So personal branding, massively, massively helpful in that regard if you are someone trying to attract people to come and work with you and come and work with your team. The reason for this is something called the halo effect. So the halo effect is a term that was coined by a psychologist called Edward Thorndike back in 1920. And what he did is he did a big experiment where he was working with soldiers and their commanding officers. And he was looking at how they were perceived, how the soldiers were perceived by their commanding officers, and vice versa, and trying to figure out what influenced that. You know, what gave people their perceptions, where did people get their ideas of people from? And one of the major things that came out of this is that old adage, which is, you know, is proven to be true, that first impressions massively count. Connected to that and that first impression is the halo effect, and the idea that if you have a good impression of someone, so you think someone is quite good at what they do, you kind of naturally give them a lot of leeway in other areas. So, you know, if you think, okay, that person is really, really good at connecting with people and engaging with them in health and safety, you're going to assume they're probably a pretty good, well-rounded safety professional overall. And as you can see here, you know, they're good at doing A, therefore they're going to be good at B, C, D. So that's the halo effect. And you see this in the media quite a lot, you know, with celebrities and things like that. It's the reason why, for example, you get people like Jimmy Carr cheating on his taxes, and he kind of got away with it a little bit. You know, people weren't necessarily as angry as they should have been, because they already had a good, you know, a good impression of him. They thought, oh, well, he's, you know, he's great, he's really, really funny. He's probably, you know, that's probably been misrepresented, or that probably didn't happen. You know, they let them get away with it a little bit more. Same with, you know, celebrities cheating on their spouses, and people still love them and they still let them get away with it. So this is all to do with the halo effect. Small caveat, I am absolutely not advocating that you use this to go out and cheat on your taxes or your spouses, just FYI. So the halo effect can be really, really seen in some really good examples. So, for example, if you think of companies like Virgin or like Apple or Facebook, right, really, really big company names that we know well, what tends to happen if you ask people, you know, what's the first thing that you think of when you think of Virgin? And it's Richard Branson, right? Same with Apple. People tend to think Apple, Steve Jobs. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. You know, the person behind the brand is intrinsically linked. And this makes it really, really easy for them to attract people to them, because not only is, you know, the Virgin brand a well-known brand, but Richard Branson is very well known, and he has a strong personal brand. People know who he is, they know what he does, they know what he stands for. People want to work with him, they want to be like him, they want to emulate him. So it's very, very easy to attract people to Virgin or to Apple or to Facebook, because people, they know what it's about, they know that person, and therefore, because of the halo effect, they think, oh, well, that person's great, therefore the company they work for must be great. There's that association, which is really, really powerful, and present in most of us. You know, I think most of us do this. So this is really, really useful stuff when I'm trying to recruit for my clients, you know, trying to get new people in for them. The halo effect is really, really powerful, because if I'm recruiting for a client and I can say, right, their safety director is brilliant, he's so engaging, he's so committed, you know, he lives and breathes by these values. All very well and good me saying that, but if I can show them and they can see that person has a strong personal brand that is all of those things, again, that halo effect kicks in and they think, okay, that person's fantastic, the work they're doing therefore is fantastic, the company they work for is therefore fantastic, if I work with them, I'm also going to be fantastic. So really, really powerful stuff. I always like to show you some examples of people that do this sort of stuff really, really well, so that you can kind of go away, research them, stalk them a little bit. Sorry, Malcolm, if you are listening. But have a look at the kind of stuff that they're doing that makes it really, really easy to attract people into the brand. So Malcolm Sayers is a great example of someone who has a really, really strong brand and does this very, very well. So, you know, he is Vice President of Health and Safety for L'Oreal. Works globally, and it's very, very easy to attract people to work within that brand and within, you know, within Malcolm's team, because everybody can see what a passionate person he is. You know, you can see here he's putting things up about, you know, winning awards, team of the year, things like that. That's really, really powerful. Putting stuff up about their values, be the hummingbird. All these different bits and pieces that he's sort of living and breathing the values. So when L'Oreal wants to attract someone and they want to attract someone in the safety team, you know, they look at Malcolm and again, halo effect kicks in. They think he's great, they must be great, I need to be a part of that. So really, really powerful stuff. And another person who does this really well is Marisa Farkins, who runs Safety Forward, which is a safety consultancy. And again, very similar stuff. When we've recruited for Marisa in the past, it's so easy to get people excited about her, excited about the brand, because she's got this strong personal brand. You know, she is, if you have a look at her profile, she's got all of her awards in her job title, you know, winner of Institute of Directors Resilience Award. She's posting about stuff all the time. You know, she's involved in the Safety 7. If you haven't checked out the Safety 7, really recommend it. Go and have a look. They do really regular updates talking about different things that are you know, pertinent in the industry. So you can see here talking about mental health. So all of this stuff makes it really easy for us to see, oh look, you know, Marisa's talking about this book that she's read, she's passionate, she's engaging, she's good at what she does. I want to be part of that. So that's point number one. Right, very important. If you want to attract people to come and work with you, you've got to have this strong brand. It's going to make your life a lot easier, particularly in the current marketplace, which, as I said, is very challenging. Point number two, which is the one that most people are actually interested in, is making yourself stand out. Again, really important right at the moment. So like I said, competitive marketplace. Most clients, most companies know at the moment they're probably not going to recruit by advert. They're probably not going to find the people that they need. So they work with people like us that headhunt, and we go out and find people for them. So if you are interested in looking for roles and looking around and maybe taking a step up into a different role, you need to start working on your personal branding and start making yourself stand out. One of the sort of hard truths that I do tell people all the time is, unfortunately, in the safety world, a lot of safety CVs look really similar. Because what people do is they will say, right, as a health and safety advisor at this company, and part of my job, I did risk assessments, I did safe systems of work, I did accident incident investigations, yada. So there's no differentiation really between you and what someone else does. This is the stuff that makes you stand out. You know, when I get CVs and it's just kind of got a list of the day-to-day activities you do, you know, that's great. But to be honest, I expect you to do those. That's the job. You know, I expect you to be doing risk assessments and accident investigations. That's kind of a given. What I want to see is, okay, how do you engage with people? You know, what's the culture fit like? Are you someone that's passionate? Are you someone that knows how to talk to people, who knows how to build rapport with people? Are you someone that cares about the industry? And this personal branding stuff is how I find all of that out. So most of the time, if I'm looking for someone for my clients, the first thing I do, if I've got their CV, I go and check out their social media presence. Now, it doesn't go against you if you don't have, you know, a LinkedIn social media presence. It's not going to stop me speaking to you. But the first people I tend to speak to are the ones that have got really strong presence, because to me, that shows me that they're so committed to the industry. They're so committed. They want to talk about it all the time, and they want to engage with people, and they want to share best practice. And that's really attractive to us and to our clients. Same goes, you know, for other reasons you'd want to stand out. So we'll go through a few of those. So as we mentioned in the first one, look, standing out, you're going to attract the best people. They're going to want to come and work with you. So we've covered that one off. The second one, becoming known as a leader in your field. This, I think, is really powerful stuff. And it's going to tie into my third point that we'll come on to in a bit. But when you're a leader in your field, I think that's how we start changing our hearts and minds. That's how we start changing perceptions. You know, I think if we look back 10, 20 years ago, the safety industry, people were quite siloed, and, you know, it was very, if I'm the health and safety manager and I know this information and I hold it to myself, then that makes me employable. You know, they can't get rid of me because I'm the person that knows all that info. And we're way past that now. What we're looking at now is people that want to share innovation. You know, the health and safety world, there's a lot of negative news. There's a lot of, you know, bad stuff that happens out there, but there's loads of good stuff as well. And when you start building a personal brand, that's going to make you stand out. So you can look at people like Malcolm says, like Ruth Denyer over at Netflix. These are people that, you know, people are coming to, they're drawn towards, because they know what they're talking about, they're passionate, they're engaging, and that's always a good thing. Why is it a good thing? Well, it's great leverage for you. If we're talking very mercenary about this, it's very, very good leverage for you. And we were talking about how competitive it is at the moment. If you are someone that has built a really, really strong brand around yourself, and you're known to be someone that knows their stuff, you know, so maybe you engage with other professionals in industry groups or something like that, you know, you're on social media, you're doing all this stuff to kind of stand out. That's really, really helpful when you go to your boss or your current company and say, I need more money or I need a promotion. Because the first thing they're going to say is, why do you need more money? Why do you need a promotion? You're doing the job, great, brilliant. We you know, we're not going to pay you anymore. We're not going to promote you. But if you can kind of prove to them all of this stuff, that because, like we said about the halo effect, is making them look brilliant, that's the sort of people that they're looking to promote. Those are the sort of people that are looking, you know, for pay rises and things like this. So we always say, if you are looking around at the moment and you're maybe not 100% happy where you are, our advice, which I think people are always a little bit surprised at, is before you speak to us and before you look at other opportunities, go and speak to your current company. You know, if you're happy there, but the only thing is, you know, the money's not right, or you know, you want to be a manager, not an advisor, go and speak to them and see what you can do, and take all this stuff with you. Say, look, this is all the great innovations that I've done. I've shared all of this with all these people. You know, people are now reaching out to me because they know that I know the information that they need. All of this stuff is really, really gives you a lot of leverage when you're asking for, you know, that next step or that pay rise. And the good thing as well is it can create opportunities that you didn't know about, both, you know, within your current company. It could create opportunities in other companies. You know, you just don't know where this stuff can take you. I'm a big believer in the power of saying yes. I pretty much say yes to anything. If people ask me to speak, yeah, no problem. Do you want to come and talk to people at this event? Yeah, no problem. Do you want to come and see me for coffee? Yeah, no problem. I'll pretty much always say yes, because you don't know where stuff's going to lead. You don't know what that could create further down the line. And I use myself as a good example of this. So, for example, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was in HSE recruitment and doing the day job, health and safety recruitment, and I was asked if I wanted to join in a women in safety event at the Safety and Health Expo, which was standing up and doing a talk about something that you're passionate about for 3 minutes. Didn't have to be about health and safety, just about anything that you're passionate about, and it was to try and help build communication skills and things like that within women in the industry. And I was terrified, you know, never spoken in front of people, never done anything like that. And I thought, no, I'm going to go for it. Let's challenge myself. Let's push myself out there. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Found the experience really, really powerful for me. I had lots of people come up to me afterwards and say, you know, that really resonated with me, and they came up and they wanted advice and they wanted to speak, and it was great to feel that connection with the industry that I love. And what happened from there is it created this whole other like opportunity for work that I didn't even know was out there, like doing all of these events and doing all of these talks and things like that. And I love the day job. I love doing health and safety recruitment, but it's fantastic that I get to do this as well. You know, I get to go out and share my knowledge and speak to people and you know, get that connection to the industry that actually is really, really passionate and something I'm really, really passionate about, something that really, really drives me, that it's sometimes hard to get when you're just speaking to people on the phone. And it created a whole new job for me. That we actually, before I was an associate director, I was what they called a brand leader, and that was a whole role that they made up for me that didn't exist. And actually, as a result of it, now our sister companies all have brand leaders because of the work that I did and the stuff that we kind of created off the back of that. So you just don't know where this stuff's going to take you. And that's super exciting, or I think that's super exciting. You know, if you start creating this personal brand and start standing out, people are going to come to you with different opportunities, and you don't know what they might be, and you don't know where they might take you. You know, it might be that someone comes and says, I loved what you were saying about that innovation you did at work. That was really, really interesting. Could you come and tell this school about it? And you could inspire a load of school kids. Or they might say, could you come and speak at this IOSH event? And someone at that event may recognize the potential in you and offer you a new role. You just don't know where this stuff is going to take you. And yeah, I think that's really, really exciting. And obviously all of this sort of tied together, it makes you stand out in this competitive crowd. It's making the opportunities find you. Like I said, most clients, most companies at the moment, they know that if they just put an advert up, they're probably not going to recruit the person they want. So they're using people like us, they're using headhunters to go and hunt people down. And if you stand out, I find you quicker. And that's good for you, that's good for the client. And it makes it a really easy sell for us. You know, if I've got 4 people that I'm submitting to a client and they're all great, they all look great on paper, but one of you has got this really, really strong brand and it's really engaged in the marketplace, that's a huge sell. You know, I can tell them this person is so passionate about what they do. They spoke at this, they wrote a paper for this, they were interviewed at this. Yeah, all of that stuff is great. And it's going to give you that leg up. If you are looking, you know, or if you do want opportunities to come and find you. So why is it important? It's going to bring people to you if you're recruiting. It's going to help you find the best people in the market. It's going to make you stand out, which is great for numerous reasons. It's going to, you know, create new opportunities for you. It's going to get you pay rises. It's going to get you connected to the industry. And the final reason why it's important is it's going to help make the industry better. And this is my favorite one. This is the reason that I talk about this so much and why I think it's so important, is helping to make the industry better. So where I work, HC Recruitment, we're owned by Executive Network Group, and I'm an associate director there as well. And ENG, we've always had this mission, this value that is make recruitment better. That's at the heart of everything that we do. And working within HC Recruitment, I took that one step further and made it our mission that, okay, not only are we going to make recruitment better, we're going to help make safety better. You know, I've been in the industry for about 12 years now, and there's been such huge improvements over those 12 years. The perception of health and safety has changed massively, and it's been incredible to see. You know, when I first came into the industry, we still very much had that kind of old school perception. You know, people kind of still thought health and safety people maybe just kind of stood there with a clipboard, tick stuff off, told them to shut down works. That perception was still kind of hanging around. And now that perception is massively moving. And we see all the great stuff that health and safety people are doing. And we're really seeing the value. Things like the pandemic have had a huge impact on that. But people having strong brands and really engaging in the market, that's doing this as well. So, for example, again, about sort of 6 years ago when I took over the sort of brand leader role at HC Recruitment, we sat down and we do this quite regularly, talk about our mission and our values and how do we represent ourselves and, you know, what do we want to be. And this came up about making safety better, and we were all really, really passionate about it. And so what we decided was, you know, there's enough bad news out there about health and safety, right? You only have to open SHP online and see there's articles about, you know, someone's been fined, someone's lost a limb, or, you know, God forbid, someone's lost their life. There's a lot of bad news out there. And health and safety is more than that. Health and safety is way more than the stuff that goes wrong. It's all the stuff that goes right. So why aren't we talking about it? So about 6 years ago, we made that our mission, that the only stuff that we would put out there would be good news. We're only going to put positive information out there. We're going to help people learn why the industry is so great, why the people are so great. And that's hopefully going to help, you know, change things. And loads of people have been doing this sort of stuff and putting all the positive news out there and talking about all the great things that they're doing. And that's fantastic. And it's definitely changing the perception. We do still have a way to go, though. And you only have to, for example, open the Daily Mail and see, you know, one of these elfin safety stories, or, oh, you know, they banned conkers at the school again, or something ludicrous like this, to see that the perception in the wider world, the wider market, still isn't great. There's still a lot of room for improvement. And we should be proud of what we do. You know, I want people to go to a party and meet someone and be like, what do you do? Oh, I mean, health and safety. That's brilliant. You know, we shouldn't be hiding what we do. And you know, that's not just health and safety, that's recruitment as well. No one ever wants to talk to a recruiter at a party either. We need to change our perception a lot too. But I think the more that we can do this sort of stuff, and the more that we get people building strong brands and putting great things out there and good news out there, the more it's going to spread and the more it's going to catch on, and we're going to turn those tides. And that's really important because one, it makes everyone's jobs easier. If everyone thinks health and safety is a good thing and they're not fighting you tooth and nail all the way, that makes everyone's life easier. But two, it's going to help, bring fresh blood into the industry and make it an attractive proposition. It's something we should be talking to, the younger generations about. And they should know it's an option when they're at school. And, we do quite a lot of this. And I know there's a few safety professionals that do, where we go to schools and we talk to them about this as an industry so they know. And we're trying to make it look attractive and trying to make it look interesting because it is. So yeah, this sort of stuff I think is super, super important. And if we all start doing this, the change could be phenomenal. So again, I always like to give you research and things that you can kind of look up. So there's this book here that I thought is quite interesting. So it's called The Visible Expert. I've given, there's an Amazon link here. I think you'll get the slides afterwards. Obviously, there are other bookstores other than Amazon. Feel free to buy it wherever you like. The Visible Expert is quite an interesting one because basically it's a group of researchers that went away and interviewed 1,000 sort of known experts in their field and the people that they engaged with. And what they were trying to do was figure out, what makes someone an expert, what makes someone perceive someone as an expert. If they look at someone and see what they're doing and see their brand, they're like, what makes them think, oh, okay, they know what they're talking about. So there's some really, really great stuff in here. But one of the things I thought was really interesting is they came up with a list of the types of expert that you could be. And I think this is really, really interesting and definitely really, really relatable to all of us, or hopefully. So the first level, and there's 5 of them. The first level is resident expert. And this is where I would expect pretty much every health and safety person to be. And what they meant by resident expert is, you are someone that, for example, within your company, people know you're the safety person. If I've got a question, I'm going to come to you. So I would expect most people to be at that level. Don't get me wrong, there are some safety people that aren't this level, and those are probably like the old school types that are still quite siloed and aren't engaged with the company culture and things like that. But I would hope most safety people now are at this level, that people within your companies know they can come to you, they know that they can have that open sort of rapport and that you're going to help them. So that's level 1. Level 2 is local heroes. So this is where we start to spread that good news a little bit further. So this might be, you're perhaps working as a safety advisor in manufacturing, and so you go along and you get really, really involved with a local manufacturing group and start sharing information with them. Or for example, I know the leisure and entertainment, the theatre industry, they've got a group, maybe you're going along and you're sharing information with that. So you're starting to spread and starting to share that info and starting to change the perception within that kind of sector. And that's really, really good. So this is kind of the minimum that I would be looking for. If I'm sort of putting someone forward for a client, I want someone that, is passionate and is engaged, and they can show me that engagement, that look, oh, actually, I'm really, really passionate about manufacturing, so I go to all these little local CPD opportunities, I share this information with other manufacturing groups or something like that just shows me that you're really passionate about what you do. And also, it's not just you sharing information, it's you receiving information in those instances, and that's great as well, because again, you've got people to bounce ideas off, you've got people that are going to give you up-to-date information, and it's great to have 2 different perspectives, I think, on an issue or a problem. Level 3 is where it starts to get really, really interesting. This is Rising Stars. Now, Rising Stars is a term we're all a little bit more comfortable with at the moment, because there's a lot of awards and things around for it at the moment. You'll see people that have been nominated as Rising Stars in the industry. Rising Stars are really people with potential. They're the ones you want to watch, and they're the ones that are starting to spread out from local heroes. They're sharing within their sector, but actually they've got quite a good brand on social media. They're talking to people, they're engaging with people, they're sharing their knowledge, they're maybe starting to speak at different events or something like that. They're just, you can see their reach, I guess, and you can see that they're sharing stuff. Rising Stars are definitely people that I want to represent for my clients. They're looking for potential. They're looking for people that could be superstars in a few years. And this is great, right, if you're looking to step up in the industry. So say if you're an advisor looking to become a manager, it's it can be very difficult sometimes to convince people that you're ready for that leap and you've got the potential to take that next step. But if you're someone with a brand that kind of represents you as a rising star, we're much more confident in the fact that you can take that step, and it's going to help you, jump up the ladder and get those promotions and get those pay rises. If I'm recruiting for a client and they want a health and safety manager, but they're willing to take a chance on a strong advisor that's ready to take that step, I'm looking at rising stars. I'm like, who can I show you that you can take a chance on? You can give them a nice big pay rise, and you can help them grow, you can help them develop, and they're going to get that career trajectory. So this is a really, really important one. Level 4 is my favorite, industry rock stars. It's my favorite because I wanted to be a rock star, still do want to be a rock star. I think we all probably would like to be rock stars. So industry rock stars, I like some of the people that we've mentioned before, people like Malcolm Saves, Ruth Denyer, John Green. They're people, that they're out there, they're talking, they're sharing stuff. You see them on conference agendas all the time. And no disrespect to those that I've mentioned, because they're absolutely brilliant, but I would love to see more people like this. I would love to see more industry rock stars, because it's great seeing all their stuff and what they're talking about. But I know you lot have all got loads of really great things that you can share as well. And I think we need to hear from more people. We need more people to stand up and be counted and share that sort of information. So industry rock stars, definitely people that I know, they're speaking at conferences, they've got that stage, people are approaching them, because they're known to be a leader in their field, as we kind of said at the start. And then the final level of expert is global superstar. I don't know if we've got any of these in health and safety yet. Potentially someone like Sydney Decker, is maybe doing the industry rockstar thing on a global stage, but there's not loads of them, but there is no reason why they can't be. And it's something I think that we should really address more in health and safety. If you look at, for example, other industries like HR, finance, procurement, you very regularly see, those sorts of people like HR directors, FDs, procurement directors step up into CEO roles or global roles. And it just doesn't happen as much with safety people. And leadership is leadership. If you are a global safety director, I don't see any reason why we can't be looking at those steps and getting you into CEO, COO roles. And getting some global superstars would be a great way to start making that transition. So action point number 1 for you here is to take a look at that list, figure out where you think you sit at the moment, and then task yourself with jumping up 1 level. That's it. That's the first step. Just try and jump up that next level. And don't worry, I'm going to tell you how to do that. So we're getting to the tips and tricks part of the presentation, which I know everyone's always really keen at. So you're convinced, you're on board. How on earth do we do this? So I'm going to give you some tangible stuff that you can start with to start climbing up that ladder. So point number 1, basic blogs, basic opinion pieces. So social media can be really, really daunting, right? And I know people struggle with it sometimes, particularly if you're not au fait with it. It's not something you naturally do. So the easiest place to start is a basic blog, which is an opinion piece. And what I mean by opinion piece is you basically say, this is the situation, this is what I think, what do you think? It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be long. It can be a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, whatever it is. It can be really, really simple, but it's a great place to start because you're showing your knowledge. You're saying, this is the situation we've had. This is what I think about it. And then you're encouraging engagement. You're saying to people, come and talk to me about it. Come and tell me what you think. Let's share that information. So this is where I started. One of the first blog pieces I ever wrote was this one, Beans Means Safety Risk. Daft little piece. There was a Heinz Beans advert a few years ago that it had people and kids with tin cans or bean cans that they'd taken the labels off and they were using them as musical instruments. And it got 9 Ofcom complaints because people said it was encouraging children to play with tins that had sharp edges and they were going to hurt themselves. And they pulled the advert. And I didn't think that was particularly right. I didn't think that was a good representation of the safety industry. So I just wrote a little piece about it. And like I said, it was, this is the situation, this is what's happened, this is what I think, but what do you guys think? and encourage people to engage with me and talk to me about it. And this got so much engagement, it really kind of blew my mind. People were really interested and they wanted to share their opinion. And we started chatting, and I got to chat to people that I hadn't spoken to before, and I got to share all these ideas. And then I went to meet a load of them afterwards and have coffees, and it got me that connection, you know, like I said, that's really, really important if we're going to make the industry better. So this is a really, really good place to start. And the good stuff with this is that you've all got things like this you can talk about. You know, there's always things in the news that we can pick up that we can chat about. There's innovations. You know, if you enter awards or things like that, you can talk about your journey on that. That's really, really good. You've got loads of content at your fingertips. So this is the second point. You know, utilize what you've got to hand. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel with this stuff. You know, if you are currently doing an innovation in work. So for example, I went to an event the other day and there was a lady from a housing association, and she was talking about a fall program they were doing with some of the elderly residents. Brilliant stuff. That's great. Get out there, share that. So this is what we're doing at the moment. This is why we're doing it. What do you guys think? You know, start sharing that sort of thing. So if you're doing anything cool in work, talk about it. If you're entering any awards, talk about it. Just, you know, use what you've got to hand. You don't have to, like I said, reinvent the wheel. A very quick tip actually before we move on to the next point: people get a bit nervous about blogs because they think they're not great writers. You know, they didn't go to school for literature or whatever, neither did I. It doesn't matter. The important thing with all of this personal branding, whether that's in person, online, in social media, in blog form, whatever it is, the important thing is that it's genuine and it's you, because people can smell it. If it's not genuine, they'll see it from a mile away. You know, I'm sure we've all had that feeling where you read something or engage with someone and you think, they're being a bit disingenuous. You know, I'm not quite sure about that. So be genuine. Write the way that you talk. Use your own vernacular. You know, don't if you don't use fancy words, don't try and fancy it up. Don't worry about it. Write it the way that you talk. Write it in the way that you're comfortable, because it'll come across more genuine. You will always get the odd person that will stick their hand up and go, "Oh, your grammar wasn't correct in that sentence." Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's the internet. Someone's always got an opinion, but it's much more important that you're genuine and you do things the way that makes sense to you. Mentoring schemes. So we talk a lot about social media when it comes to building a brand, and social media is really, really important, but that peer-to-peer stuff is really important as well. You know, creating a name for yourself in the industry and genuinely helping change the industry in that way. So things like RSM have got a great mentoring scheme. Get involved, whether that's as a mentor or a mentee. I don't think it actually really matters, because even if you are a mentor, I find that you learn a lot anyway. You tend to end up being a mentee in some areas when you're working with people, but get involved, you know, start sharing what you know, start helping people. If you're already, you know, a rising star, let's help some more people become rising stars. You know, this doesn't make you unemployable, because you're helping other people get to your level. It makes you super employable. It makes you stand out, and it makes the industry better. So yeah, definitely get involved in mentoring schemes and things like that. Engage on social media. So what I mean by that is loads of people have a LinkedIn, but they don't necessarily engage on it. So what they will do is either never post anything at all, or they will just like people's comments, or they will just like people's posts or something like that. That's not engagement. What you need to do is you need to talk. So if someone posts something like a blog or an opinion piece and you're interested in it, don't just like it. Go and talk on it. Go and start a conversation and get them talking back to you, and start sharing that information and start that dialogue. And what I mean here by borrow people's popularity, so this is a really easy thing to do when you're starting out, is engage with people that have got a really wide remit already. They've got a big network. Because what happens on LinkedIn is, if I engage with someone that has got 10,000 followers, all of their followers will see what I've engaged with them with. So, you know, if you are engaging with popular people, it's going to you know, give you a bigger reach. The other thing that you can do with borrowing people's popularity is ask people to get involved. So you know, when I first started out, what I would do is, because we've got partners like RSM, I would post something and I would tag them in it. and get them to come and engage with me. And you're kind of borrowing off their popularity. And you know, and people ask me this all the time. They'll say, "Oh, could you come and talk to me about this?" And obviously, don't you know, do it if you're not actually interested in it, because like I said, it's got to be genuine. Everything's got to be true. But if someone that I'm connected to says, "Oh, I've just put this post up, will you come and read it and just let me know what you think?" I'll go over, I'll talk on it, and I'll engage, and that opens up their network to my network and vice versa, and it starts this like effect where everything grows and grows exponentially, and you know, that's going to help us, it's going to help them, it's going to help the industry. So yeah, if you've got social media, LinkedIn, get engaged, start talking to people, and borrow their popularity. Peer-to-peer events, it's the same sort of idea with this. It's great, and I know loads of people who go to peer-to-peer events, and they it's great for CPD, you learn loads, but you have to talk to people there. You know, if you go and you sort of just sit in the corner, okay, you've learned something, that's helpful, but it's not helping, you know, you really in the wider sense, in terms of building a brand, in terms of getting people to know who you are. So if you go to these events, I challenge you, please just go speak to one person. Go say hello. I promise they won't bite. Everyone's really, really friendly. Just go say hello, or at the end of an event, ask a question, get involved, or reach out to people after the events. You know, go and speak to them and say, "Oh, I saw you speak at this. That was great." Engage with them in that way, and talk about them on social media. So if you go to an event and you think that was brilliant, I really, really learned a lot, take a picture and share it on social media and talk about it, or share a link to the event afterwards and say, "This was great, this is what I thought it was great." You know, again, it's utilizing what you've got to hand. Use the stuff that you're doing as part of the day-to-day job to sort of create that brand and build that momentum. Engage with people in person. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been talking about. The company LinkedIn page is a good one. If you are, you know, a bit more senior perhaps in your company, and you've got a company that says, "Look, safety is at the forefront of everything we do," well, then you should be involved in promoting that. So maybe speak to your company and say, "Can I get involved in the LinkedIn page? Can I get the company LinkedIn page to reshare the blogs and stuff that I'm talking about?" And again, halo effect, it makes you look good, it makes them look good, but it's going to build your brand as well, because then everybody that follows the company is going to see what you do. It's, you know, it's just increasing that reach again. So that's a really, really good one. And then the final one, which everybody hates, is public speaking. You don't have to do this one. You know, this isn't a be all and end all. But if you want to climb up to sort of, you know, rising stars, industry rock stars, definitely you have to sort of start doing some public speaking. There are opportunities for public speaking everywhere in health and safety. Absolutely everywhere. IOSH groups are always looking for speakers. RRSM are always looking for speakers. NEBOSH conference, IOSH conference, you know, they always want people to come along and tell them what you're doing and share your information. So try and get involved. It can be scary. I promise once you do it a couple of times, it'll be absolutely fine. I'm going to give you my tip that I always tell people, which is when you are public speaking, one of the things most people don't like is the fact that it initiates that fight or flight response. You know, your adrenaline starts flowing, you get scared, and what tends to happen is you get very physical symptoms of that fear. So, for example, you might flush, or your hands start to shake, or your voice starts to shake, and you know, people can see that you're nervous. So top tip I was given when I started out, that I'm now going to pass on to you, is when you do public speaking for the first time, whether it's a small group, a large group, whatever it is, stand up and put your legs shoulder width apart, keep your core tight so you've got a really, really strong base, and then clench your bum cheeks. And it is physically impossible for those signs to show, the shaking and the nervousness and things like that. It just grounds everything, and you will sound a million times more confident than you potentially feel. A great tip when you start out, you won't need to do it forever because you'll get comfortable, but it does work. I don't know why it works, but it does. And that's pretty much that. You know, we've thrown a lot of information at you over the last sort of 40 minutes. We've got a bit of time for some questions now. If anyone wants to, you know, throw some questions in, we can have a chat. But otherwise, I am pretty much on LinkedIn 24 hours a day. So do feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura, for such an interesting and informative session. Lots and lots of information there. We do have a few questions. first one actually links to confidence and what you were saying just at the end there. This is somebody who says they're not naturally somebody that stands out, so they're quite shy and reserved. So how do they build the confidence to do so? How do they build that confidence to actually stand out? They want to do it, but they're not sure that they can actually do it.
And it is a tough one. And like I said, you know, not everybody has to do this the same way. You know, so if you aren't a confident person, you don't feel comfortable standing up and doing public speaking, don't do it. You don't have to. There's millions of ways to build a brand. That's why the social media one, I think people can feel a little bit more comfortable with, because you're kind of behind a screen. I would say start there and build it up. You know, start engaging slowly. When you go to events, yeah, again, just even just asking a question or going up to someone, it can feel terrifying. But if you can just push yourself to do that one little bit, and then the next time build upon it, and the next time build upon it, you will slowly get there bit by bit. When I'm networking in person, I don't know why this is true, but it always feels more comfortable if you have something in your hands. I don't know why. So if you go to a networking event and there is, you know, there's drinks, wine, soda, juice, whatever it is, having a glass in your hand for some reason really grounds you. It's something that quite a few people say. I don't know why that works, but I think it gives you something to do, particularly if you're a hands talker like I am as well. It gives you something to do with your hands. And you know, maybe take someone along with you. You don't have to go by yourself. If two of you go from the company, or someone from another company, or take a friend along, you know, it doesn't really matter. But sometimes just even having that person there with you gives you that little bit of confidence to ask that first question or say hello to that first person. But the main thing for me to remember is that everybody is really friendly. I've been doing this 12 years, and I can count on one hand the amount of mean people that I've bumped into at these things. You know, people want to help you, they want to talk. I promise you, no one is ever going to say, well, that's a stupid question. That's not going to happen. And the same thing goes the other side. If you're public speaking, I was told this when I first started out, and I had a lady training me who did TED Talks, and she said, I promise you that 99.99% of people in the audience, they want you to do well. They are not willing you to fail. They you know, it's awkward for us as an audience if you don't do well. They want you to do well, so they're not going to try and trip you up. They're not going to try and ask you daft questions. And there's absolutely nothing wrong if you don't know the answer to the question to say, great question. Do you know what? I don't actually know the answer to that. I'm going to go away. I'll find it out and I'll come back to you. There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, even just knowing that really took the pressure off for me. The fact that I didn't have to answer everything. I could just say, oh, I don't know. I'll come back to you. So yeah, just little baby steps. Start with little bits of social media. Don't push yourself too far. Not everybody has to be a public speaker extraordinaire, but just try little by little.
Okay, that's great advice there. And then the next question is really the opposite of that. So how do you build your brand, show that you're a leader without sort of showing off? How do you make sure that you remain authentic and sincere in what you're doing, rather than being the big I am?
which is a great question. There is nothing wrong with a little bit of showing off. I'm a big believer in this. You know, so safety people really are salespeople, whether you want to think it or not. We have to sell what we do. When you are on the shop floor and you're trying to engage with someone in safety, you're selling safety to them. You're giving them the good points. You're telling them why this all makes sense. So it's just kind of an extension of that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a little bit of showing off. If you go too far, you will be told. Someone will tell you. It's the internet. Someone will say, "Oh, rein it in a little bit." But again, it doesn't really matter if you go too far once and then you rein it back in. It's okay. You know, it's you are a person. People make mistakes. It's absolutely human. I've made mistakes. I'm sure we all have. So I think be proud of what you do. Be proud of your achievements. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I would always say, as much as we've spoken about, you know, the 5 different types of expert and that sort of thing, I shy away from the word expert when talking about myself, because I don't think I am. I don't think anyone is really 100% ever an expert. There's always stuff that anyone can learn at any level. So I think as long as you retain that little bit of humility, you know, that you're looking for engagement, you're looking for people to give you feedback, you're looking for ideas and support, then it will come across in the right way.
Super, thank you. Another question then is, how do you build your brand in an environment where safety is not given a priority?
Okay, that's a really, really interesting one. I haven't actually been asked that before, so whoever that was, well done. I would lean on the industry. I think that would be my way of doing it. So if you haven't got the support and the innovation from where you work, there's great stuff going on in the industry, right? So like we talked about borrowing other people's popularity, I would kind of go that route. So go out, get involved in all these different events and talk about those instead, or go along to meetings where they might be talking about an innovation they've done at their company and talk about that and say, oh, I saw this person talk about it at their housing association or whatever it was. I thought it was great. This is what I thought about it. So you can still do those kind of like opinion pieces and stuff like that. You can still engage with people on social media with your thoughts. So I would say, yeah, try and do that, do the borrow popularity thing and use other people in the industry, because there's loads of great stuff going on. Although my final point would be, if you are in a company that doesn't give you what you need in terms of making safety a priority, I probably would be looking for a different role personally. But it's a really good question, really good question.
Thank you. And then you've been talking a lot about engagement. So how do you deal with those sort of negative comments on social media? Let's say you're putting, you're doing your stuff, you're getting your stuff out there, and then you're getting a lot of negativity coming back. Should you engage or do you ignore that? What's the best?
I engage to a point. I definitely always engage to a point. It's very rare that you will put something up and you will get nothing but negativity. Very, very rare. If you are, then that's when you need to look at, okay, maybe I need to rethink the way that I'm doing stuff. But most of the time, people will engage. They might have a contrary opinion to you, but that's not negative. That's just encouraging debate. That's encouraging conversation. Very, very rarely you will get someone who has a bee in their bonnet and will tell you you're wrong and won't listen, and they will argue until they're blue in the face. I do engage up to a certain point. My thing is always kill them with kindness, always. Rise above. You don't need to get into slanging matches. You don't need, just kill them with kindness. Say, I appreciate your opinion. Thank you for sharing that. Really, really interesting point of view. This is what I think. Just keep it really, really clean like that. At some point, you will get some people who are like a dog with a bone, and they will keep going and they'll keep going and they'll keep going. At some point, just it's the end of the conversation. It's like, I appreciate your thoughts, and kind of end it there. But again, it's really rare. It really doesn't happen that often. It will happen occasionally because it's the internet. But I promise you, it won't be as regular as you think it will be when you're starting out. But yeah, kill them with kindness, engage to a point, and don't be afraid to walk away.
Great advice there. Question then has come in. How do you build a brand, particularly around helping you get promoted when promotion within the workplace is quite stifled?
Yeah, okay. I'm not promising that this stuff will get you a promotion. It can help. It can really, really help you. What I would say is, build that brand, make lists and accounts of all the great stuff that you're doing, and just ask for those sit-down meetings with the boss. I would always try and see if they can give you any plan. So, this is where I want to be in 5 years. How can you help me get there? Is there steps that I can take within the company that will get me to that point? This is the stuff I've been doing. Is this the right stuff that's going to help me get that promotion? It's just about that two-way dialogue. Like I said, I cannot promise you that building a personal brand will get you a promotion within the company, because some of them, they don't exist. If the promotion is not there, the promotion is not there. But if you've had that open dialogue with your manager, you will know that. You will know, okay, look, no one's going anywhere for 5 years. I've got nowhere to go. And at least then okay, maybe it's time to start looking at other things, or start speaking to people, or looking at different options. And because you've been building that personal brand, people should be coming to you with them anyway. But it's the reason we always encourage you to speak to your manager first. Even when people apply for roles with us, we always say, have you had that conversation with your manager? Because if you like where you are, but the only thing is you want that step up, ask them if there's a step up. And if there's not, great, then we'll look outside it. But you never know. So yeah, I would just keep good documentation of everything you're doing. Have that sit down, ask them to plan with you. Can they outline where you're going to be in 5 years? Can they outline how you're going to get there? What do they need you to do to get there? That's something I did with my boss, to get to my directorship. When I joined my company, I knew I wanted to be in this position. by 10 years, and we planned every single step of the way. So every single year I knew, right, this year, this is what I need to focus on to get me up to that next step. And if they can't give you that sort of progression, there are other companies that will.
Super, thank you very much. I think those are all the questions we've got for today.
Good questions, thank you for engaging.
I should also say that you were talking a lot about writing blogs, and of course, you can always, anybody that's listening and watching today, they can always send IIRSM a blog, and we can help with them. And then we can, if they wanted to do something on a regular basis, they can become one of our new IIRSM contributors, and then our team will help refine a blog, and then it can go on to our social media and onto the Resource Hub as well. So, if anybody out there is thinking of doing that, just write an article, write something down for us, send it to events@IIRSM, and we'll take it on for you. We're there to support people. So, it's great that you were sort of really advocating sort of doing blogs, because we can actually help people do that as well. Right.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
So thanks ever so much, Laura, for sharing your knowledge with us. I'm sure there's been a huge amount of information that people can take on board and actually act on, which is super. Thanks to everybody else that's joined us today. The recording will be on the IIRSM Resource Hub tomorrow, so you'll be able to catch up or recap anything in your own time. So I think we'll leave it there for today. Thank you ever so much again, Laura. Thank you for everybody to joining us, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.